Good afternoon, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good day and God bless you. Let's get into the news. A federal judge has rejected the Justice Department's access to classified documents seized by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and last month's search of former President Trump Mar-a-Lago as home. Now listen to this. The judge has also appointed the veteran New York jurist to serve as a special master. And this is very important, ladies and gentlemen, who will independently review the classified records. This is an article, PBS NewsHour. A PBS NewsHour article, judge named special master who will review classified documents seized at Mar-a-Lago. Why is that important? We'll get to that in a second. Really quickly, The Washington Post. What to know about Dari, the special master reviewing Trump documents. Raymond J. Dearie, a former federal judge in Brooklyn, as described by lawyers and colleagues, as an exemplary jurist. Judge Eileen Cannon has appointed Raymond J. Dearie, a former chief federal judge in New York, to sort through more than 11,000 documents, including classified material that FBI agencies from former President Donald Trump's Florida residence last month. The reason it's important, ladies and gentlemen, is that they own almost certainly stole or took without any approval from President Trump classified documents that belonged to Trump. Just because he was in a process of negotiation with the National Archives doesn't mean that certain classified documents that he declassified should have been taken from him. How does that even work? This man is a former president, if you don't like him, morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrat who uses federal agencies to go after your political opponents. Who cares? Too bad. He was a former president. And you have President Bush, President Obama, 30 million documents that were supposed to be online or at least on an internet library or database that you can easily search. But even more egregious than that, and they're not even more egregious than that, is what the Bush administration did with classified data and top secret intelligence. We can get into what other presidents did. Although there's violations of the statutes pertaining to the handling of classified data, no reasonable prosecutor would indict. He's telling you that somebody's above the law. He's telling you Clinton was above the law. I mean, he's telling you that, but with Trump, what they did is they took everything that they found. They had no clue what was in those boxes. They had an informant that told them the informant did not have top secret clearance. They know this, you know this, everyone knows this. How can you have just used basic logic, because everybody that was an informant or a source against Trump has proved as proof to either lie or fabricate complete and utter nonsense? Steele dossier. You have the Durham probe, special counsel. Trial in October, Glenn Simpson fusion GPS, all of these people on Professor Alexander Downer Mueller probe founding nothing. They said, well, Durham probe hasn't found anything. The Durham probe has zero media support, as very little political support in Congress, and already found a bureau agent that pled guilty to deceiving a FISA judge just to continue investigating somebody close to Trump. You had what you had with Trump is the following: Clinton, top secret intelligence siphoned out of the country, out of the United States, onto servers running outside of the US. You've had other administrations do their own thing with classified data or presidential records. The National Archives Department of Justice never went after them. There was an informant that it told the Bureau that Trump had war classified data. How on earth would this person have known? Number one. Number two, even if that's true, the history of informants against Trump is abysmal. They went after Trump with the Steele dossier, Alpha Bank server nonsense. They just in the most overzealous manner want to investigate any lead against Trump because they don't trust him and they don't like him. And they're an extension of the Democratic Party. The problem is that he's a former president. You've now set the precedent for a Republican to do that to a Democrat. Anyway, though, it's very likely that maybe they already took passports, but it's very likely they're taking classified data he already declassified. Bad classified data is going to be returned to Trump. Wouldn't event be hilarious and amusing and awesome? And then what are you going to do? Indict Trump for the classified data that you don't think that he declassified as president? Because as president, aside from restricted data that you would need maybe the Department of Energy, the Secretary of Energy to help declassify if it's regarding nuclear armament, but there's most of the top secret intelligence or top secret data, or the highest level data can be declassified by the president. There isn't even a standard protocol. Okay, he can do, and there's a political article talking about he can declassify documents just verbally? That's a political article. He doesn't shine a signature on a document saying that he was briefed on how to handle the classified documents Clinton did. Clinton couldn't have declassify or couldn't classify or declassify couldn't declassified classified documents, like a president could. So he has all of these powers associated with him as a president. Yet, they took boxes and boxes, 11,000 documents. Who wants to bet that a certain percentage belongs to Trump? That was deep. A certain percentage was declassified or belongs to Trump or wasn't classified. And again, he's a former president, he doesn't have tops, he doesn't have secret private servers running outside of the United States government to funnel data outside the US government simply because he wants 30,000 emails to be deemed personal yoga emails. And I want to Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump 2024. You know that if you watch this show, I want Clinton to be the nominee and trail honest. Go through 2016 again, because every day is this Matrix type of alternate, dystopian nightmare on Elm Street, Twilight Zone 2016 episode. But the special master is going to review classified documents. The part of the review process is going to find out if he properly or if he classified the documents. It's gonna take a while. Then they're going to so this stunt has completely failed. This stud has completely and utterly. This is even a bigger failure. This is a greater failure than the Mueller probe, which found absolutely nothing. And Crossfire Hurricane, which was not started without bias. The Inspector General stated he couldn't find documentary or testimonial bias. Yes. Nobody wrote on a piece of paper, "We can't stand Trump, we're gonna go and utilize the US government against him." Or nobody testified that, yeah, we were biased. But there were endless instances of bizarre bias behavior and the whole thing was a setup. And then journalists latch onto, "We couldn't find testimonial documentary bias." You're never going to find documentary bias. But you need to ask these top officials in a court of law, Comey, McCain, Straw, Clapper, Brennan, why did they use a dossier that they knew was complete nonsense? And so they would never allow a dossier to be used against President Obama or President Biden or, future President Hillary Clinton or, Secretary of State Clinton. They would never allow that. And the dossier, by the way, we have the Steele dossier trial. The dossier was compiled, not only with a source that's on trial, but the source was working with a public relations executive linked to Bill and Hillary, so they were documents, personal records, notes stolen from him. Okay. And you might say, well, they probably kept a whole bunch of documents. It's like, well, Trump probably has a record of what he took, very likely has a record of what he took. He very likely knows exactly what he took, or at least has a pretty good idea of the 11,000 documents. And the Durham Pro Special Counsel hasn't left you. Have you at the House of Representatives, and you have eventually Republican Attorney General that won't be an abomination like Jeff Sessions. And there's gonna be another special counsel. And I don't think that anyone at the Bureau wants to be indicted and charged with stealing documents or withholding documents from the special master. And then if they do, they're like, well, it was a mistake. Everything's always a coincidental mistake. That always benefits Democrats. Unbelievable. But see, this is the problem. Like, Washington Post, PBS, like these are wonderful, beautiful journalists, liberal, morally superior liberal journalists. But their audience doesn't really understand the entire picture. They don't really know that everything Trump has been accused of is either fabricated or just fabricated, blatantly false or sensationalized. Yeah, Trump had classified documents. It's nothing compared to Aberdeen's laptop that her husband was using a week before 2016. It was James Comey who tanked Clinton's campaign. Everybody knows this. And I said Clinton would lose to Trump in the Hill, the Huffington Post salon. I was on MSNBC and CNN. I said, at that point in time, Bernie Sanders is a tool, the Democratic Party, he's complete tool, he would not have gotten us record low on record low poverty. Under Trump, we had a record low in poverty. And a record high in household median income in 2019, with 2% inflation. Third quarter. Recession, a prolonged recession. They said, well, 2 quarters and might not really be a result. Yeah, it's a recession. Everyone has always known that 2 quarters of negative growth is a recession. You might have 3 quarters now and then even an entire year. And so we didn't have that with Trump, but we had actually record low unemployment with Trump. I mean, record low unemployment and also record low in poverty. We have poverty of 15%, who was 10% under Trump. But Bernie Sanders at that moment in time to my 13-minute crowd. You know, I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders, his most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. Okay. All of those Bernie Sanders supporters, you see that are still left that are still, you know, around. They weren't the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet. That was me. They weren't the unofficial scribe of Sanders as most hardcore voters. That was me. Okay. My articles were read hundreds of thousands of times. I'm not patting myself on the back. Just that's what happened. Because I thought that he would do what Trump eventually did, which helped create a great economy and a great foreign policy. Brett, he brought Americans home, reversed U.S. foreign policy. Biden reluctantly abided by what the Doha Agreement stated, but he didn't even abide by it. It stated the May 1, 2021's role, but getting to my point. And those 13 Americans should be alive today. There's over 100 Afghans shouldn't be alive today. Biden completely botched that, just like he's by botching the economy and everything else. There's companies that complete failure in every way. But you look, ladies and gentlemen, at that moment in time, Bernie Sanders would have won because he wouldn't have had that email probe. And I was telling everybody that people were saying to me, are you sure Clinton would get indicted? I don't. I thought I was so naive. I was on the left my whole life. I was so naive. I thought the FBI was independent. Of course it's loyal to one political party. It is what it is. J. Edgar Hoover was political, but he didn't side with a political party. He had the goods on both. Better, he believed that he had the goods on both. Watergate would never have been, that story would never have been broken without a top FBI official helping Woodward and Bernstein, but anyway, he would have wanted that point. Okay. Clinton lost because that cover-up was Comey. Basically the cover-up was, well, no reasonable prosecutor would indict. What's this more classified data floating around? And then he probably thought that Clinton would win in a landslide, and he wanted maybe to send a message to the new Clinton White House saying, look, we have the goods on this new Democratic regime. What didn't work out? What happened was Clinton lost the Trump, like I said that she would not. I want to Hillary Trump 2024, we need to redo that. But it wasn't the Kremlin. They want to Trump the DNC emails, or no, the campaign emails show they were elevating Trump. So how is it that Democrats wanted exactly what the Kremlin wanted? Of course, the narrative changed in those emails. See again, like the highly educated, wonderful, morally superior liberals who just got into politics in 2017, and just started reading the New York Times and thought they were like, wow, I know what politics now. It's like, you don't really know anything. You know, one very biased side, that sensationalizes and distorts what's really going on. But anyway, you have what took place was Bernie Sanders would have won. Trump defeated Clinton, because of Comey's memo. They wanted Trump all along, then they lost them. The narrative changed immediately to, oh, my God, Facebook ads, and May never accepted results. Now they're pontificating about accepting results. And the reality of the situation is that they've never treated Trump. They look at Trump as this nightmare that they want to torment all the time. The problem is for Democrats is that they don't believe in their policies, and their policies think and cause record low poverty and inflation. Is it 8 to 9% 40-year highs in inflation? We're going into a prolonged recession. I've been talking about the third core is going to be negative. But Trump defeated Clinton. Anyway, I'm all over the place as usual, as you know, but the point is, we are. This is like the last chance that they had to really torment Trump. And it's now a catastrophic failure. There's going to be a special master that will go way past the midterms, trying to decipher how much of the 11,000 documents, even the classified ones, Trump owns. And guess what? If they stole documents from Trump, he can say they stole documents from him. If he's the rightful owner of those documents, if you're the rightful owner of a classified or any document and some in the government just, barges into your place and takes it, they stole it. Because you want it wasn't stolen. We were gonna search word. The search warrant, like every warrant, pertained to Trump. Every single judicial ruling pertaining to investigating Trump is based on a Steele dossier based on public record knowledge. Reports, news clippings, news reports that are basically journalists fed false information, published the information, and then, in a court of law or in a FISA court, it's utilized within the indictment or within an attempt to go and investigate somebody. But all the Bureau had to do is Alexander Downer, said George Papadopoulos. Told George Alexander Dennis at George Papadopoulos told him that he knew something about the Clinton emails or the DNC emails. That's enough. Send it to a judge and let's start the process of investigating Trump. We have to send it to Comey and McCabe, and we'll just investigate because somebody told an informant told us we had to investigate Trump. And there you go, anyone could be an informant against Trump. The point is, though, because they want is a pretext, and then they're just off and running the point. However, if you've lasted this long, 20 minutes, is that they failed miserably indeed, I used to think they could have indicted him on this. They're not going to indict him on this. They might try to in 2023, because Biden is going to get impeached. So they might just indict an innocent man and then just roll the dice with a conviction. And they won't get a conviction because the former president, the interesting predicament they're in is that, well, they do revere executive power, they revere the executive office, it's their source. It's each political party source have endless, authority and political, influence. So they're going to have to think about, do they really want to tarnish and ruin the executive branch by indicting innocent Trump? And because, Madam Secretary, had we not known about those servers would have had private servers in the Oval Office, then you would have had a big issue with a former president or a president. Then going, the Republicans investigating secret servers in the White House. That would be a different story for the American public. Thanks for being here, folks. Big hug. Ciao. Goodbye. God bless. We'll see you in the next one. If you appreciate these updates, please smash that